welcome to the Opinion Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Wyatt Schultz of The Predicament and Dick Briggs. If you tuning in after the college webcast for this week, we're in our 45-minute period, rest period before we throw the headgears and stuff back on, so we're taking a little bit of a break. But we'll touch on the high school action from last weekend. And just kind of a look ahead at least one or two of the tournaments coming up this weekend, right before teams hit the holiday break for the most part. 'Tis the season, wrestling season and Christmas season. We kind of touched on memorable gifts that we received in the past in the college version. And I know we've talked about favorite Christmas movies that we've had. What's your favorite Christmas carol?
Oh,
When it comes on, you immediately break into singing like, I don't know, you guys, I can't sing worth a lick, but there are a few that pop on that I start singing like I'm actually Bing Crosby.
I'll mention it because I heard it on the way over. It's not my favorite, but it just makes me wonder. It's another head scratcher. You know, I've had one of those earlier this year. So I heard Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the boss, Bruce Springsteen, who really, I don't get it. I mean, the guy, his voice is like, it's not, I don't think it's
scratchy
good.
and raspy.
Yeah, yet I like his songs. So here's this guy that I just don't think is a very good singer that I really like his songs. So there's mine, I guess, for the day.
well, this is really going to come off weird.
Mm-hmm.
But the German version of Silent Night.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is. It's just one of those that it's pretty sweet.
So it's in German?
It's in German. Yeah,
Okay.
the German version.
Okay, I have to listen.
And it's interesting because I used to sing Silent Night to Keely to get her to sleep even during the rest of the year. That was the one song that I'd sing, and that's my favorite. Not the German version per se, but
Right.
White Christmas by Bing Crosby. I actually start singing to the point where I have family go, KJ, please. I'll never be able to listen to that again. But that and I always get a kick out of singing Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. For me, it's silly and I enjoy it.
What's the one that you hear and it's stuck in your head for the rest of the day?
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer, and even the 12 Days of Christmas. I'll sit there and go 5 golden rings. Forever.
What's the Brenda Lee? Was it, I think, or Rockin' Christmas, or that one? I'll sing all
That
day.
one?
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called now, but yeah.
So now that we got the holiday discussion out of the way, last weekend some really kind of getting into the thick of things and stuff. We were at some good tournaments. We'll discuss Mount Vernon, Council Bluffs Classic, which has become a very notable and big tournament as well. Southwind, Macokota had tournaments in the area as well, so we'll touch on those, Western Dubuque and their duels. But first, I was at Mount Vernon, so I'll kind of kick things off. Up there, a real dominating performance by Lisbon, which maybe not necessarily a surprise, but the way they did it. 336.5 points, almost double Davenport Assumption. 7 champs, 10 in the finals, 13 out of 14 that were third or better, and then all 14 that were fifth or better.
They went 35-7 on the day.
Wow.
In matches.
That's amazing.
That's a day.
That is crazy. And they, it wasn't just, and that's with maybe one of their better wrestlers too, getting third place out of that. But we'll also mention that because there were some really good performances from freshmen this weekend in a couple different locales. But among the champions, obviously, Cal Happel looked really, really good, dominating at 138, which is no surprise. Robert Avila as well. One of the champs I was really impressed with, Max Cole, a sophomore. He kind of came from behind and got a big pin over Tim Nimley, who was ranked from Muscatine, ranked 9th, I believe, in Class 3A. Just a sophomore, somebody that you don't necessarily point to in that lineup and go, this is somebody that's, a key part. But boy, it shows you, they're really balanced and they have a lot of tough kids up and down the lineup.
Well, they're just solid all the way up and down that lineup. They don't really have hardly a weak spot in there.
Mm-hmm. At 113, Cade Siebrecht won as well. And then Brandon Paez, talking to Brad Smith, he was like, he could go down to 113 and wrestle. But, for the team, you've got Quincy Happel at 106. You've got Siebrecht at 113. He's like, he can be at full feed at 120. And he's looked impressive so far this season. I think he placed pretty well up at Independence.
Either third or fourth up there.
So placed well there. And then, a nice dominant tournament championship at Mount Vernon.
When I was looking at the brackets, I was kind of impressed. I know it's hard to say this with 106. Sometimes it's but all the top 6 wrestlers at 106 had incredibly good records. Champ was 12-0, second was 7-3, and he had the most losses of anyone. Quincy Happel's 11-3. He's had some pretty good competition. I guess fourth was 11-5, but fifth was 8-1, and sixth was 11-3. So really quality records at that weight.
Competitive.
So, competitive for sure. So.
In one of the top brackets there, because did Schmidt of Beckman, did he place at Keith Young the week before?
I don't think, was Beckman there?
Yeah, Beckman was at
Keith Young.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But I'm not sure. I know Wolf Cooley at 182. He placed at Keith Young. And he came away with a tournament title here as well. Washington, Iowa, Fraser had a champion. Mason Dye, who was a runner-up last week, he's a 2-time medalist for Sigourney Kyoto, came away with a 126-pound title. And then at 152, that was a big one. You had Will Esmoil of West Liberty, came away with an 8-2 victory over Marshall Hawk, who's ranked, I think, 4th in 1A, Esmoil number 1 in 2A at 152 there. And Esmoil, boy, he was impressive. He gave up the opening takedown, which apparently happened in their first meeting, in a duel to kick off the year. But after that first takedown, he really controlled everything. Had a nice high crotch and cut across and just drove Hawk to his back in the second period for a 4-point move, getting 2 near fall in addition to the takedown. And boy, he looks really, really good right now.
And West Liberty had another champion, Kobe Simon from at 220. Mm-hmm. So they had a couple of champs.
And he beat Keon Kamerling from Mount Vernon, the host school, and Kamerling had beat Luke Recker from East Buck in the semis, which Recker ranked as well, which a nice win there. And boy, I tell you what, both Simon and Kamerling, I'm not sure I would card them for a pina colada. They look full grown. I mean, those are dudes. Those are guys. I was really impressed with the way they wrestled there.
I see Wapello had a champion at 145.
Oh, Meeker.
And Meeker.
Meeker.
Yeah.
Yep, and
McCoy.
And we were talking about this too. Some of the freshmen and Macias, I believe, Michael Macias of Assumption, had a nice tournament there. beat Happel in the final. I think threw Quincy Happel to his back a couple times early for 5-point moves. Finished off with 3 near fall for a technical fall there, but boy, he's somebody that you're going to have to look at here coming through in 2A, because I think that was kind of a little bit of a statement. And then I think there's also a 38 pounder sophomore, I believe, for Assumption. That was Macias. And
You're
then
talking about Mays. You were talking about Mays.
Mays at 106. Yeah.
Yes.
So I got the two mixed up.
Right.
Sorry. My apologies to Assumption folks. But Macias, I believe, was a sophomore, maybe. No, he's a freshman as well. The runner-up at 38 to Happel. But
Maybe someone can help me with, since we're speaking Macias and his way, if he's maybe the son or related to Manuel Macias that wrestled back early 90s, would have wrestled against Mark Ironside.
yeah, let us know. That'd be
Good
something
wrestler.
to figure
Curious
out.
to
You
know that.
mentioned that he was very impressive back
Very
in the
good.
day.
If I'm remembering right, he might have beaten Mark, which that not too many people get to say that.
Right, that's for sure. So just an all around strong day, and since our last podcast, Lisbon cracked the Fab 50 for Intermat's high school teams as well. They debuted at 36 after their performance at Independence. So they're kind of showing why they're getting that recognition with the dominant performance there at Mount Vernon as well. On the other side of the state, you went to Council Bluffs for the Council Bluffs Wrestling Classic there. Teams from a few different states.
Yeah,
right?
Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota. I believe that was about it. And maybe a
That's quite a few.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's
Well, I was kind of looking to see if there was anybody from South Dakota.
Oh,
being
sure.
it was so close.
gotcha. Gotcha.
But there was nobody there.
30 teams.
Yeah, and it's I don't know a lot of the out-of-state kids, so it's hard to compare the Iowa kids with some of those out-of-state kids. Some of them you do know, of course, like at the Independence with Happel and Sokol. You do know some of those. Ayala from Fort Dodge at 26. Beat a good kid out of I think one of the Lincoln schools. In the finals, but there are some good brackets. Iowa City West was what they finish?
They finished 10th.
10th. But they were without a couple of kids. Will Hof didn't wrestle.
They had 4 in the top 4.
Yeah,
So-
but I guess what I was getting at is I don't know how much further they could have, or how
Advanced.
much higher they could have placed with Will in there. Not saying he'd have won it, but he'd have placed. I would say in the
What the
top
separation
4.
between 10 and 9,
Yeah.
8th what might have been. So a little bit.
And I think
higher,
he'd
but-
have placed in the top 4 because that's a pretty brutal tournament.
Yeah.
You get beat in the quarters, so you can only get back to 5th.
Yeah.
So it's not a true third. I keep talking about Underwood. That freshman at 106 is solid. I was talking to the coach. I think before bracket play on Saturday morning, and he goes, he says, I think he can win this. And boy, I tell you, after just sitting and watching him, then boy,
Well, I think
he's true.
Didn't they win at 106 and
Yes.
second at 113 maybe? If I'm not mistaken. I thought they did pretty well there.
Not at 13.
Was it
20.
20,
They
120?
finished third.
Next-
They
okay,
finished third at one.
third at
Stevie
120?
Ray Barnes.
I thought they did well there. So.
Yeah. And then, of course, Odell at 106 was a runner-up.
So I don't know
from
if you're
Iowa
doing
City West.
team results, but the highest placing Iowa team was Fort Dodge, that was third. Liberty, Missouri was first. Millard South was second from Nebraska, and then Fort Dodge. So a couple of footnotes for me. Did you notice who was 29th out of 30th at this tournament?
I did. I talked to the coaches.
Apple Valley. If you know wrestling in the high school level, Apple Valley has produced very many big time name wrestlers. And for them to be 29th out of 30, that was a real surprise for me to see that. So, wow.
And that was a legit team. It wasn't like a reserve team or anything.
No, it was pretty legit. He did tell me that they have, I believe it's 4 freshmen coming up, and he just said they're very, very young.
Wow, okay.
And
How about that? What goes around comes around.
Yeah,
Even
well-
for Apple Valley, huh?
well, and then it told me some other stuff too, but
Okay.
you know, but they were just young and
Another footnote for me was the 285-pound champ, Gabe Greenlee from Ames, is the son of
Justin?
Dr. Justin Greenlee from who was a UNI NCAA Division I finalist and Hall of Famer. So that was neat to see him. So.
And if you know him, I think he could stand there and stuff a basketball. I mean,
Well, that's
he
the
is
Greenlee
one,
way. They're all
he is
tall.
one-
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
he is one tall boy.
Yeah.
and a great kid. I guess for me to have the kids come up and talk to you, I appreciate that. So
Well, Grandma Jones beaming, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
She's awesome. That's why they're great kids. You know, it's not
Family.
a surprise, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And boy, she's got to be a saint to have 2 giant wrestlers like Joel and Justin to put up with them. I'm sure. I'm sure there are a few headaches there. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to backtrack because we'll talk a little bit about these freshmen here. But I was Derek Bass of Assumption at 106, so I apologize. Doubled down on my mistake earlier, but yeah, it was Derek Bass 106 that won and beat Happel. But with Gable Porter, I mean, boy, some statements here by some of these young guys that now I know it's routine or kind of a policy maybe not to rank freshmen at the start just because they haven't taken the mat yet.
Right.
I do that with my wrestlers to watch. I never include freshmen just because you wait till they step on the mat. But we've seen Nocta Kaborin and what he's done. Gable Porter of Underwood, Bass of Assumption. Boy, this freshman class has got some guys that are stepping in and really performing well.
and then the freshman out of Fort Dodge even finished 5th over there at Council Bluffs. So, like you say, that class, that freshman class,
Max Bishop.
right? And that class.
Well,
is
that's
pretty
not
good.
new to Iowa. We've had.
No.
I mean, right now we're
right.
in line to have 2 4-time state champs. We've got another one in the making at Lisbon, at least. That comes to the top of my head, and so yeah, yep, Avila, and so not a surprise. It's good. Good to see Iowa high school wrestling still kicking them out.
Yep. So, any other final thoughts from Council Bluffs there that
It must be a brutal tournament. 2 days,
just-
30 teams. That's another tough one. So
Yeah, it's on the same format as the Independence tournaments, pool play. They use 16-man brackets instead of 8-man brackets. So when you get beat in that first or second round, you can only get 5th, which, I, as a personal guy, I'd just as soon see that true third, but, and maybe even go to 8-man brackets and 4 pools of
I'm sure
8-man.
time and number of matches
Right.
are coming into play
Because
there.
it was 846 matches the first day and just short of 800 the second day.
Right.
So you're talking 1,700 matches in 2 days on 12 mats. But overall, I was kind of impressed with actually Fort Dodge. I thought did well, but Underwood. I've been harping on.
Yep.
I still think maybe Bosco and Lisbon are a step ahead, but Underwood has got a nice solid team.
And Waukee must be nice too because they finished
Exactly.
two spots ahead of Underwood. So Iowa City West. I don't know if you mentioned their medalists, but Grand Odell was second, Hunter Garvin was third, Ashton Barker was third, and Grant Gambrell was fourth. So high my list there for them.
Yeah, and they got a nice team, nice little team. You know, if they were completely healthy, of course, that's probably the way it is with a lot of teams. If you're healthy, you got a good team. But you know, they're short a couple guys.
I think we can count on them as being a good tournament team. This year.
Yeah.
West, yeah.
Yeah. They've got guys. They've got those core, that core group of guys that no matter what tournament is, whether it's
do well.
in Independence or Des Moines, they're going to be finishing
In the top, yeah.
And speaking of Iowa City West, we will be at Iowa City West on Thursday. We'll bring the duel between Linn-Mar and Iowa City West to you on KCRG 9.2 starting at 7 p.m. So
I'm anxious for that. Linn-Mar's shown well so far this year as well. So.
yep, and they had a win, I believe. I have to double check. I think they beat Prairie in a duel.
Oh, I didn't see the result.
on Criteria.
On Criteria.
2 o'clock on
40-39.
Saturday, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, on Criteria it went to?
On Criteria.
I didn't see that. Huh.
So, very competitive duel. A little different. Single duel on a Saturday,
Right.
going up against other tournaments. But when you think of the student body for both teams, more than likely they're going to be free and able to attend on Saturday. So maybe not a lot of attention from outside, but a chance to get a good crowd from the school. So hopefully that
In the
turned
metro
out well
area,
for them.
you're right. I would agree.
And they've had some battles
Yes, it
along the way, and a lot of matches that have come down, or a lot of duels that have come down to the last match. And apparently Saturday was similar as well. Kind of heading back over to this side of the state for Saturday's tournament action. Talked about the dominant performance by Lisbon, one of the top teams in 1A. West Delaware, a title contender in 2A, was impressive as well. They won the Southwind Invite with 271 points over Osage at 179. So almost 100 points between West Delaware and the runner-up there, and a strong showing by the Hawks.
Yeah, 6 champs, 4 runner-ups, 10 in the finals.
I think they went 31-9 on the day. Another
See,
great
Oh,
day.
is that what it was?
Yeah. And I thought I must have miscounted. I thought they had 5 runners up. So was it 4?
Oh, I may be mistaken.
So either 10 or 11. So
Yeah.
I might have miscounted though. So so my question was GMLOS. Who the heck is that? Well, I had to look it up.
Let me guess. I think it's Grand Meadow, Leroy, Ostrander.
Yeah, you got it. Very good. They're out of Minnesota.
Right,
They're about,
just across the border.
I'd say about
did you say that
halfway
again?
to Rochester.
Grand Meadow, Leroy, Ostrander.
I think I met him in 2007. I think he owes me $5.
You know he's from Northeast Iowa if he can pull that one out of the hat. Right?
Right.
Well, but you also got to remember, I go to the Clash every year,
Well, that's true.
and sometimes they're there, and if I'm not mistaken, the unit is up there around Leroy someplace. Jim Richardson is a Greco instructor coach. And he's got a little shed out in his backyard, the unit.
Okay.
And it's up
Wasn't
around
familiar
that
with that.
Leroy area someplace. He helped chase straw a little bit. So
So in this tournament, really no surprises for me. It was West Delaware and then the rest.
I thought it was interesting for the second straight week, Jackson Rolfs with a nice win over Jaden Payton. That was one. Of course, I don't know if we've touched on it yet, but for those of you, I'm sure many people realize, a former Decorah wrestler, Iowa national champ. Is he a national champ one year?
Mitch?
Yes.
Lee Fullhart.
Oh, they fall, yeah.
He is now the head coach.
I think he finished, and I don't know the order, first, second, third, and fourth.
Okay, because I think he beat Kate. I think he might have beat Kading at the Unidome in '97.
Correct, from Oklahoma.
That year. Yep.
Yep.
I remember his battles with who was in Minnesota guy I didn't really care for very much. I will whisper that. Just,
I didn't hear it.
but my mind's going on me. think of it.
I don't know who you're
later,
talking
but
about, so I didn't care for him either.
the Minnesota. But anyway, Full Heart back at Decorah. That's something that's got to be pretty neat to have him back. You know, he was somebody that I believe was he a border ranger at one time.
Yes, I think that is correct.
Wow, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so. I think he served as a
Border Patrol.
border patrol
It was a tough job.
person. Yeah, and I mean, he coached for a little bit, did that, and of course now he's back in Decorah helping taking over that program. So I'll touch base with Lee here. But that's great for Decorah, and of course, as we mentioned, nice win by Jackson Rolfs again, proving that first one. You know, just kind of following up on that. But West Delaware's upper weights, really, really impressive. You know, I think they won each weight from like 170 on up. You know, so that'll be interesting. And we discussed where we were at. You were actually working the Maquoketa.
That's right. I was
Tournament.
over at Maquoketa, which is kind of fun
Is
because
that the Zimmerman?
Yeah, Dwight Zimmerman. Quick story on that. Dwight Zimmerman was a teacher at Maquoketa that was very fond of the junior varsity wrestlers. So he created this tournament that had varsity and junior varsity wrestlers in it, and it kind of has now evolved to a varsity tournament only. But it's named after him for the guy that was very much in favor and supported and coached, I believe, at the junior varsity level. So anyway, it had Maquoketa, Davenport Central, Davenport West, Clinton. North Scott Junior Varsity had Midland, Anamosa, and I think I might be missing one in there. But here, a couple of footnotes off of that. Maquoketa had 3 champs and won it with 184.5, and then Davenport West was second with 164.5. They also had 3 champs. The champs for Maquoketa, Abe Michael at 182, Lane Stender at 220, and Taven Rich was champ again at 285. And I'm going to tell you, folks, that this Taven Rich he's the real deal. I mean, he's a big 280 pounds and very athletic, and I mean, he's got it all. He's strong. Anyway, nice kid. I spoke to him at the tournament as well. A couple of other things that kind of impressed me. Midland did a nice job. They had 4 champions. Midland did, and so Coach Houston has a nice team. Is doing a good job there. Anamosa is a team on the move. Very much appreciate their effort. Coach Trevor Green has the Blue Raiders moving. So they had 3 champs. Alex Casey at 152, Dominic Haas at 160, and Nathan Keating at 170. So those are some footnotes that I took as I was helping ref the tournament. It was very fun. So
One thing also I'd like to kind of mention, Nathan, Molly Duffy's piece on that ran, was that Thursday?
Thursday or Friday.
Wednesday? Do you remember? But it's at thegazette.com.
Thursday, yeah.
Okay. So the reason with Anamosa that just kind of pops in my mind when it comes to girls wrestling, Molly Duffy wrote a piece. I think it was more geared towards Iowa City West and what they have going on with the club and stuff down there, and the process that girls wrestling needs to jump through to get sanctioned. Thanks. But Anamosa was one. I know their AD, Brett Jones, is a former wrestler at Cedar Rapids Prairie. When they dangled that out there, how many people would be interested? They had like 13 to 14 girls, I think, like right away. I would. Yeah, if it's girls, I would do that.
nice.
And it was one of those things where I think somebody asked, are they people that had been a part of wrestling and wanted to come out? Were they just new to the sport and wanted to try it altogether? Were they girls from other sports that said, I don't want to do this anymore, so I'll try that? And he said it was kind of a combination of all 3. So you really like to see whether it's boys, girls, whatever, Anamosa really kind of pushing wrestling. And you see some of the success that some individuals are having right now. So hopefully that's stuff that they're building on there with Coach Green. And
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's kind of what we were talking about in Anamosa, the diversity of the sports, or that they were, because that's the way it is in the independents as well. They just wanted, some of them wanted to try, some of them wouldn't do it unless it was just girls. Some of them quit the basketball team to do it, so it's just a diverse, and I'm guessing that's the way it is with a lot of these schools, Iowa City West, what do they have, 20-some girls out? It's huge numbers.
Right.
Well, and
So-
Waverly Shellrock has a huge numbers
Right,
and
yeah.
their own girls
And
wrestling
wrestling
room that they've
Yep.
created for them. So
That's
it's
awesome.
definitely on the move. I haven't had a chance. I pulled the article and I haven't had a chance to read it. I've been so darn busy, but I totally intend to. But it's interesting. The reasons we're saying that the girls are coming out for wrestling are no different than the reason the boys come out for
Right.
wrestling. It's no change. And I'm kind of curious. This flashed in my head when you said that some girls don't want to wrestle boys. Well, remember when some of the boys didn't want to wrestle girls and they caught crap for it? Should we be throwing crap at the girls for not wanting to wrestle boys? You know what I'm saying? So I get it. That's
See, it's a
totally
double-edged
right.
sword.
It's right.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to, they shouldn't. But we shouldn't throw stones or at people that was it how many years ago Linn-Mar in the state anyway.
Well, Joel.
Yeah, Joel Northrop. Yep. So anyway,
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm now being asked by a 7th grade daughter about the possibility of trying it out. Unfortunately, she goes to a parochial school, so there's no opportunity within the school to do that. But there are other alternatives that if she really wants to do it, she can. So
I've been doing a lot of youth wrestling tournaments, reffing, and I've seen a slug of girls that have wrestled not only in just the girls only, but then maybe wrestled in 2 tournaments that day, where some of them that were coming over and wrestling with the boys. And really high quality. We're going to see the girls wrestling. The quality just zoom. And remember last year we talked about baby steps. You can't just go, okay, here's a state tournament,
Right.
and expect it to be like the boys.
Right.
You've got it has to grow, but you can't put the cart in front of the horse. You have to let it grow. And with the two association and the union, they're going to have to figure it out. And so it's definitely on the move, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic right now.
we'll kind of redirect back to last week's action. One other thing I kind of wanted to point out. The Bobcat duels in Western Dubuque. Southeast Polk came away with a team title. They're kind of sweeping through the field, but nice showing by Williamsburg. We saw Williamsburg early on the first week against Solon, and they were impressive. And then I believe you saw them in their dual tournament,
which they won.
as well. And
Very nice team.
boy, they might be best suited for duels, but boy, they've looked strong early on. Beat Western Dubuque in what would be considered the semis with the pools coming together, and then Southeast Polk won 50-19 in the finals. But see a little bit of what Southeast Polk has.
Kind of a first glimpse at them from our side of the state. So I guess they were. I think they were out of state last weekend, weren't they? At a tournament.
Yeah, Gardner.
So
in
I didn't pay
Kansas
attention
City.
to those
Yeah.
results. So my question right now seems like Waverly Shellrock's kind of the front runner. Is Southeast Polk at that level? Fort Dodge at that level? I don't know who else to. Bettendorf doesn't seem to be quite that level right now.
But I think they'll be right in there because I was looking. Little didn't wrestle again last weekend.
He still hasn't
heavyweight.
wrestled, huh?
Still hasn't wrestled. I don't
I
think,
think
it
he had
would.
a broken hand
Is that what it is?
yeah,
But I see
from football.
with the duel with Waverly, their heavyweight from Bettendorf still won, so it wouldn't have made any difference in the outcome. But at the same time, I think it'll make him a better duel or tournament team. Once it's huge points when you're getting into some of those duels.
Right.
And I also don't know if they're at full strength up and down the rest of the lineup either. So
That'll be something we'll keep an eye on.
yeah,
well.
Bettendorf.
And did we touch on the Waverly Shellrock duels yet?
No,
Okay.
we have not.
I was just going to say Kennedy might fall into that next level, locally with their
but-
big boys.
Yeah, but they're hurting a little bit too, aren't they?
They've got some injuries going.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that works out.
and I don't think it's a real good prognosis for many of them as well. But do you have the Go Hawk Titletown dual results handy?
Let's see here. Not too far away here.
Because we can touch on those before getting into the Battle of Waterloo and.
Well, let's see. I know that Wavell Shellrock won it, and they beat Bettendorf 38-30 in the
Right.
finals. Kaukauna.
Kaukauna?
Am I saying that right? Yeah,
Yep,
Kaukauna. Yeah,
Kaukauna.
was third. Wavell Shellrock beat them 48-18. I don't have a result. Oh, 36-27 Bettendorf over Kaukauna. Then that was in the first place pool. The fourth place pool had Iowa City High.
Kennedy.
Kennedy beat them, didn't they? Yeah, Kennedy won that one, and then City High was second in that pool. Clear Lake third, and then in the seventh place pool, it had
Newton, Burlington, and Third Creek, Amana.
Yep, there you go. Thank you. So, it seems like Waverly Shellrock was pretty much a clear cut. I mean, I guess it was close with Bettendorf 38-30.
Right.
But I think they've beaten them once before, haven't they?
Well, I
At the
think they
Keith
were at
Young?
the Keith Young
Yeah.
as well.
So,
And with Kennedy, they had a real tough lineup, or the potential for a tough lineup. Some injuries. Sounds like they might be without the services of Cade Parker the rest of the year. We'll see if that changes. I know they've been without Cale Knox. And
yeah.
that might be a situation that they won't know until.
Well, hopefully they can get them
later
back,
on.
because those
But
are
yeah.
two significant losses there
Yeah.
for sure.
But they're still doing pretty well here at the start, even with those setbacks as well. Any other takeaways from this last weekend of competition?
Adam Allard still continuing. He won the Oakland Riverside tournament. I think he got a pin, tech fall, and a decision in the finals. So he's still
Those guys,
on road.
Him and Allard and Happel still looking impressive here as they
Yeah.
continue that trek for a fourth title, and that'll be fun to keep an eye on. And of course, this weekend,
Got the
the
biggie.
big one,
Here's your battle here.
the Battle of Waterloo,
This is the patent bracket.
starting Friday. Now, I
How'd
think
you
a
get
lot
that
of
to turn
people.
around?
So, you don't want me to say right now.
But for everybody, I'm sure most people watching this know the format. But in case you don't, what they do is they have it's a dual tournament, 2-day dual tournament at Young Arena. Friday will consist of bracket competition where the 32 teams are split into 4 brackets. For Saturday, they'll be split into round robin pools based off the finishing order. So all the bracket champions from Friday will wrestle in the championship duel. Second place finishers will wrestle each other to determine 5th through 8th, so on and so forth, all the way down the line. Really cool because not only do you wrestle high competition, you also have an opportunity to wrestle teams at your own level the following day as well. Good experience on the dual front there, but
So this is the A bracket, entitled the Chuck Patton bracket. Is my college coach, and the number 1 seed there is Don Bosco. Number 2 is Prairie. Number 3 is Independence. Number 4 is Cedar Falls. Charles City's 5. Then Denver 6. Mason City 7th, and Columbus Catholic is 8th. In the B pool, which would I believe be on the same side as the A pool, correct?
Yes.
Is that right? That's the Dave Cunningham, Punchy Salas, two of my good friends. Dave Cunningham, my teammate up at UNI. Anyway, the number 1 seed there, Waverly Shellrock. Number 2 is Linn-Mar. Number 3, Osage. Number 4 is Union LaPorte. Number 5, Clarion Goldfield. Number 6, City High. Nashville Plainfield 7, Waterloo East 8. In the C bracket, then that'll be on the other side, is or down below, however you want to picture it, is the number 1 seed West Delaware, number 2 Indianola, number 3 Valley West Des Moines, number 4 Assumption, number 5 Lake Mills, number 6 Pleasant Valley, number 7 Waterloo West, number 8 Bishop Heelan. And in the final bracket, the D bracket, the Smith-Springer bracket, I forgot to mention that was the Winneshiek and Fox bracket. The D bracket, Smith-Springer bracket is number 1 seed Lisbon, number 2 Ankeny, number 3 North Scott, number 4 Crestwood, number 5 Western Dubuque, 6 New Hampton Turkey Valley, number 7 Clear Lake, and number 8 Wapsie Valley.
And A and B brackets will kick off action on Friday at 9 a.m. The C and D brackets will be in the second session on Friday at 4.
And that's a tough turnaround because most of those teams wrestle on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. Some of them may be away and have quite a distance to travel. They may not get into Waterloo until maybe after midnight, depending on the meet the night before. Have to weigh in at 8 a.m. Turn around and wrestle again right away at 9. So that's a tough thing to do. It's not people don't necessarily see or understand that, but that can be difficult. So. Yeah. But it is fun because it's a team format. It's a dual tournament, and that's a real fun concept for kids and for the team and the coaches and the parents and such.
Yeah, it's good for because you really see a lot of, I don't know, I hate to use the word team building, but they're.
I don't know why I hate to use that. It's important. That's a good term. So
right. Yeah, they really support each other,
especially staying overnight and
They really support each other on during the dual meets. I guess is what I get a kick out of is all the kids when a kid wins that wasn't supposed to and makes it a lot of fun.
And there's some as a coach, it's kind of fun because you're trying to pair the best matchups. You don't just have 14 wrestlers. You have a lot of maybe number 2 wrestlers with you that you can slot in and then bump someone up
right.
a weight or whatever to try and get a better pairing to get that win that can maybe win the meet for you. And it may come down to 2 kids that are sub 500 records. Mm-hmm. That winning that dual meet that will advance you or maybe win the tournament for you. So that those kids that do that are feeling pretty darn good about themselves. That's a fun thing.
You've got four really tough number 1 seeds with Don Bosco, mm-hmm. Waverly, West Delaware, and Lisbon. Be easy just to figure those 4 in the championship bracket Saturday evening. Is there anybody? Do you see anybody with the potential to kind of break up that foursome, or is it simply you can write those 4 in pen? I'll fall on the sword first. Right now, I'd say those are your 4 best teams, and I don't see. Even with the number 2 seeds, you got Prairie, Linn-Mar, Indianola, and Ankeny, I believe, is the number 4 seed or number right. 2 seeds, and that. I really don't see any of them. To tell you the truth, the one team that maybe I don't know how balanced Valley is this year.
I was thinking the same thing. Might upset number 2 teams.
Yeah,
but that might be your better chance for an upset.
Yeah, I don't know how well balanced they are either. But they finished 4th over in Johnston this weekend. So how strong are they?
Right.
And because you were talking about them top 4 seeds. Their whole lineup. I mean, they all 4 teams. I don't know if they really have a real weak spot in there.
Right.
On all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think those 4 are just. But I think that championship bracket.
When those 4 get going, now it can be fun.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Sweet.
I suppose
some haymakers and headaches at the end of the day there.
Right. I suppose Don Bosco might be the number 1 seed. Is A bracket number 1 seed? Do you know? I don't know how they do that.
I'm not sure either. But have they had their full lineup in there?
I don't know. Yeah, football.
I think maybe some of their dual they did, but then for the Keith Young,
they didn't. That's why I was wondering if they had their full lineup.
So
back.
I think they're getting close. That would be a question. But we've already seen West Delaware beat Waverly Shell Rock. In the opening week, it'll be interesting to see
the rematch.
Yeah, and. the first look at Don Bosco Lisbon because
Right.
in 1A that I know you mentioned Underwood and stuff too, but those two, the history behind them
Yeah.
this year, as loaded as both of them are,
And
It'd be
I
fun to see
also
that
think, because I speak of Underwood, may be a better tournament team
sure.
than a dual team as far as this type of format goes. Because they could have a lot of guys in the finals, but they just don't have that whole depth that Don Bosco and Lisbon have. You got 14 guys on both teams that are just.
And I'd have to look. When was the last time a Lisbon or Don Bosco team didn't win state duels? Would that be maybe 2013 or 2014 with Alburnett?
Yeah, that'd be something to have to
I don't
look
know.
up too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there is potential for some really fun and competitive duels, especially that championship bracket when those four, presumably those four teams. I just don't see anybody else.
I don't know enough about Ankeny to know if they can even make a run at Lisbon or not. So that's kind of a question mark. But I'm with you. I don't see it. I think those four teams, and then try and pick one there, or sit back and watch. And
Just
enjoy,
sit
right?
back and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
A lot of fun there, and even when you and this is what's nice about the tournament is even like the number 2 seeds, say they hold form where you got Ankeny, Linn-Mar, Prairie, and I think Indianola is the other number 2 seed that you mentioned, Coach. But we've already seen Prairie and Linn-Mar go down to a tie duel
Criteria.
39-39, and that's what you're going to get pretty much that whole day, which is fun.
Yeah, at the Johnston tournament last weekend, it was Ankeny, Indianola, and Valley in that order, second, third, and fourth. So, and that's your seeds here. So, but I don't think.
But that's a bracket format as opposed to a duel. So
Yeah, it's an individual
it's a little bit
tournament.
different.
Yeah, it is.
So
I know other events going on this week. I know North Lynn holds their annual traditional tournament there as well. Cedar Rapids Xavier has the Doug Phillip Duels, which I believe we mentioned Williamsburg. I think they've changed their schedule up, and they're going to be there.
oh, that just got tougher.
Yeah, and you could have the one match that really kind of interests or really sticks out to me is you could have a couple of highly ranked 138 pounders in Jalen Schropp from Williamsburg
Which-
against
Who just reached the mile marker?
150 victories.
Good win. So congratulations to him.
Helping Christian Stanek from Xavier as well. So that could be a fun one to watch there at Xavier on Saturday. Any other?
And for Madison, they changed their format to the same format as Independence. Your
Really?
Yeah, their pool is on Friday with the bracket on Saturday. They've got 20 teams from Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa.
Has that always
coming.
been 2 day?
No,
Yeah.
they may have changed it last year, but they have just changed it. And talking to Coach Smith, once they went to Independence and saw that format, he said,
like
"I'm
it,
going to that." Because of the
Okay.
lower brackets. It's not because of the championship bracket,
Yeah.
because he wants those kids to get some matches.
Yeah, that's neat. That was kind of dumb of me to ask, because it always been that. I wrestled that when I was a junior in high school, and it was not.
So, all right. So
But that'll be a fun tournament to go to.
okay. So Fort Madison, Regina also has a smaller school. I think Solon might go there.
Solon goes to Fort Madison this
Oh,
year.
they're going to Fort
Fort
Madison,
Madison,
now.
yes.
Okay, all right. So that'll be fun to take in, and make sure you hit the road and catch this last weekend of competition before the holiday break. I know West goes to McChesney. Do they still?
Yes, I
So
think
they're one of
still
the few
there.
teams that'll compete, kind of outside.
Out of state.
Yeah. So, any other parting shots here before we close things up for this week?
Nothing for me.
I'm good.
All right. One programming note of sorts. Next week is in limbo with the holiday week and travel and stuff like that. So make sure you follow us on social media so we can update you on whether or not we'll have something before the break, before the holidays, and before we actually jump into the next decade. Next decade is 2020. So,
Yeah.
and that gives me one other avenue too to put out there. This was actually an idea that was conjured up by our girls basketball writer Jeff Linder, who will be doing an all-decade team for basketball. And actually, we're going to follow suit in all sports. So I'll put my neck on the stump and let you hack away after you see the all-decade team that I come up with Gazette area wrestlers. Will kind of mesh the weights a little bit because there is a little bit of a change.
Sure, yeah.
There
Weight-
over the
weight-
last
weight
10
class
years.
changes.
So keep a
But
lookout for that.
Speaking of that, I'm glad you mentioned that. Kudos to you for putting together the area.
Oh, sure.
That was a chore, but very nicely done. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And that'll be a weekly feature. The Gazette area rankings, kind of an opportunity to do something for our area ranking, for our area wrestlers and stuff like that. It's the top 5 regardless of class at each weight. So that'll run Wednesdays with our weekly feature Prep Notebook. So.
And your area rankings and our rankings will be coming out on Thursday before the competition on Thursday this week.
Okay, so the second set of predicament rankings will be out Thursday.
About 5 o'clock on Thursday.
Okay, so watch for those at thepredicament.com. Again, you can follow Wyatt at...
Facebook is the predicament. Twitter is predicament_IA.
Okay, and you can follow me at KJ Pilcher. You want to throw your...
I don't have much to say.
Yes, you do.
I don't even know what handle or
You know, KJ, I think that's about the first time I've ever heard him speechless.
So, yep, we got him. But thanks.
Thanks to the Marion Indians for my lanyard.
There you go, Coach Haig. So, again, thanks for watching us and putting up with us every week. Hopefully, we see you once before the new year, but if not, we'll see you in 2020. And always remember,
Let's keep wrestling on the move.
thanks, everybody.